Hey girlies, welcome back to Silky's Nook. I'm your host Silkthorne and this is episode 3 of my pod, and today we are talking about the Priest trilogy, how I found it, what I liked, what I didn't like, how I came about it, all that kind of stuff. I don't actually have the physical books of these ones. I did read it on my Kindle, so I'll be talking about it on here today. I don't have the physical copies. They are on my to be bought list, as I would like to have them as a paper copy. As I'm sure many of you girlies understand, that having the paper copy as well as on your Kindle is something that is just nice to have. And also the covers are really nice. From the ones that I've seen on TikTok, they look really, really nice. So yeah, grab a cuppa, strap in, and let's get straight into it. So the first book of the trilogy is, of course, Priest. So again, this trilogy I sort of came across on TikTok. Like the Lights Out, if you've watched my last episode, you'll know what I'm talking about. The that sort of TikTok dark romance. I've read those already. How I came about that was also through TikTok, like people posting videos about it. With like, I think it must have been clips from the audiobook. Obviously with like a caption or whatever. That's how I came across Priest as well. Someone was posting clips of the audiobook with like a caption or like a picture of the book or whatever, and TikTok shop link, like all that good stuff. And yeah, I was just really intrigued by it because I kept seeing like different ones. So like with Lights Out, I saw the same clip, like the same audio clip over and over and over. With Priest, it was different. It was like different segments. So that piqued my interest a bit more. So I was like, oh, okay, like I've got to try and read it. And unfortunately at the time I couldn't afford to buy the paperback. So I just got it on my Kindle because I do have Kindle Unlimited. And girls, when I tell you, I've not read a book that fast in ages. I was like, oh my God. It was better than what I thought it was going to be. So I would probably give it, what would I rate it? Maybe like, I wouldn't give it a 10. It wasn't like brilliant, but I would give it at least an 8 or maybe an 8.5 out of 10. Possibly a 9, possibly a 9. But yeah, I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. I think I read it across 2 days, which sounds like a lot, but I actually only did probably spend about 4 hours per day reading. So like within 8 hours, I finished it. I can't remember how many pages it was. Let me just double check. So it says, oh God, I've broken my Kindle. Hold on, girls. Oh, I can't see because I don't know what's happened. I don't know if you girls can see this at the bottom here. It keeps going to this instead of saying pages. Like it won't tell me the page. I don't know what happened. I was just reading and then it like went back onto it and it changed from like pages to lock. Like I don't know what that is. As you can tell, I'm new to the Kindle. I usually read paperback books. So if anyone knows how to fix that and put it back to pages, that would be awesome. Because I've been trying and like can't figure it out. But anyway, yeah, so I can't tell you how many pages there were, but I think there was around 300-ish, give or take. If you know, please feel free to drop it in the comments and let me know exactly how many pages there were. But yeah, so I finished that in about 2 days, but it was like maybe like 6 hours maximum. Yeah, it was so good. So spoiler, if you haven't read it, I'm going to just talk a little bit about what happened in the book. But this is the first book of the trilogy. And this is about Tyler. So there's 3 brothers. There's Tyler, Aidan, and oh shit, what's his name? Sean. Tyler, Aidan, and Sean. And the first book, Priest, is about Tyler. He's a priest. At the start of the book, he's a priest, shall we say? If you know, you know. And basically, then he meets this girl called Poppy. I think she was from out of town, and yeah, she comes in to like confess her sins and blah blah blah, and then he's like taken aback because she's so beautiful. And then things kind of get a bit saucy, should we say? I'm not going to spill too much because if you haven't read it, then you need to read it. And also, I don't want to get banned on YouTube for talking about it. So yeah, gets a bit steamy. And then basically in the end, he decides he wants to leave the church because he can't serve God and like have a wife or be with someone, because obviously as a priest you're supposed to be devoted to the church. Yeah, and then basically the last like few scenes, they just like, how do I put this? they're just going for it. Like, they're just living their best lives, should we say? But yeah, it's really worth a good read. And also because also her ex like comes back as well during like part of the like sort of more towards the end, and he starts going mental, and it's just really funny. And then she's like, no, I don't want to go back with him. And then they have like a massive argument and blah blah blah. Like, I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, that's basically what happens. But it is a happily ever after. They do stay together. But yeah, I really really enjoyed that book. I wouldn't say it was my favorite. It was my second favorite out of the three. Priest was my second favorite. So obviously, I read it in order. It goes priest, saint, and then sinner. Or priest, sinner, saint. Yeah, priest, saint, sinner. So let me just double check that because I feel like that's wrong. Hold on, bear with me. Priest, sinner, saint. I knew it was wrong. It didn't sound right. Yeah, but so priest was my favorite when I read it, and then obviously I read sinner. That is my favorite one. That is my favorite one. Even after reading Saint, Sinner is my favorite one. So Sinner, I'll show you girlies the cover because I'm sure you're going to love and want to see. For those of you who haven't seen it, this is Sinner. This one I read in about 4 hours. I just could not put it down. I could not put it down. I literally just kept reading and reading and reading and reading and reading. Then I was like, oh, it's over. Literally, I was like, oh, it's over. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so Sinner was my favourite. So this one is about Sean. So the second brother, is he the oldest? I think, yes. Yeah, so I think it goes, because there's actually 4 brothers, but there's only 3 books. So I don't know if it's because the 4th brother is like younger, so they don't really write about him. Unless maybe there's another book coming, but I doubt it because it's already a trilogy. But that's just my theory. But yeah, because he is mentioned a few times throughout the other books. His name is Ryan. He's the youngest brother. Tyler's the oldest. I'm 99% sure it follows the books. So Tyler's the oldest, then it's Sean, then it's Aidan, who's in the 3rd book, and then it's Ryan, who's the youngest. They did, spoiler, they did have a sister, but she sadly passed away. She committed suicide because of like stuff that happened with the church when they were like all a bit younger. And I think that's sort of where, like, how do I say, kind of like where the starting point essentially came from. So like that's how like Tyler ended up in the church. That's how Sean like hated the church. Aidan ends up being gay, you know, like all those kind of like scenarios I think sort of stem from the loss of their sister, because it's their only sister as well. I can't remember where she falls in terms of the age. I think she's older than all of them apart from Tyler, or she might be the oldest. But yeah, and then obviously there's like the mum and dad. So yeah, Sinner was my favorite. It was so good, honestly. So this one follows the story of Sean. Spoiler alert, he ends up dating his best friend's younger sister. So Sean is like, what, like a millionaire, like he's like a corporate, like, I was going to say corporate baddie then. Know what I mean? But like, you know, he's like a corporate man, you know, businessman, that's what I'm looking for, businessman, you know, loaded, whatever. And then the girl, the sister, oh my gosh, sorry, the best friend's sister, she wants to become a nun. So like, see how it all kind of ties into like religious or like churchy stuff, because Tyler's a priest. She wants to be a nun. So she's like going through like the training for that when they meet, because his boss is like trying to like kick out the nuns from their like I don't know what the actual thing's called, but like the building where they like help out the public and all that kind of stuff. So that's how they kind of meet, and then they realize, oh no, sorry, actually they actually meet, this is a real spoiler, they actually meet first off at this like charity like ball thing that his business is hosting or whatever, and they end up like dancing together. She knew who he was, but he didn't realize it was her. He didn't recognize her because obviously she's changed from when he last saw her when she was a lot younger. And then he's like thinking about her like all the time. He's like, oh my god, that girl, da 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 da, whatever. And then he sees her in like the nun plays, and he's like, oh my god. And she's like, yes, me, hi, like, ha, whatever. And and then it just kind of goes down from there, and then he's just like obsessed. And then that book is basically steamy from like the whole from the get-go. Like there's like I think how many chapters, maybe like the first 3 or 4 like max that are just like placid, and then it's just like boom, like full steam ahead, like go for it. But I really like that book. And a big spoiler, so if you haven't read it yet, please like skip forward a little bit. They end up getting married, which made me really happy. That was really nice. And also in this book it mentions that Tyler and Poppy from the previous book, helicopter, ignore that, sorry. They also got married, so that was really nice. And then so basically they both get married to the girls from the book. So yeah, that is the end of the spoiler. But yeah, if you haven't read it, I definitely recommend that you do. I was gonna say something else about the book as well. Yeah, so that one I would give it a solid 9, maybe 9.5. The only thing I didn't really like is like how long it took for them to like properly get together. Like that took too long for me, because like you could see it was gonna happen, like you could tell it was gonna happen, so it was just taking too long for me, and I was like, come on now, like I'm getting bored. Even though the storyline was really good, it's just one of those things where like you could have took out a couple of chapters just to like sort of skip to the story. Sorry, I keep sniffing. I've got a cold coming, but like it's only the one side of my nose, so I do apologize for the way I sound here. But this is also why the video is late this week, because my nose has been blocked and everything, so I do apologize. I should have put this at the start actually, but I do apologize that this episode is late. However, next week we will be back on track. But yes, I'm getting there, I'm getting better. So anyway, back to the books. So yeah, I would give that a 9.5 out of 10. Again, I want to get the paperback to add it to my collection, but I keep forgetting what I was going to say. I was going to say something else. I'll come back to it anyway. And then the last book of the trilogy is Saint, because we know the order now. Let me just pull up the picture for you. So, oh god, bear with, because I'm at the end of the book. Hang on. He's trying to get me to leave her a 5-star review. Hold on, wait there. Okay, there we go. So this is Saint. So this one is about Aidan. He's in the series, he's the youngest brother, but obviously you've got Ryan, who's the actual youngest brother. It's about him. So he, oh my god, I can't talk. Sorry. He is a monk, or is like a monk in training or whatever. So again, the religious kind of theme. He is a monk. He's also gay. I don't know why I said that with such passion. Then he is gay. Why are you gay? Oh god. He's gay, and he was dating. And here's the plot twist. So spoiler if you haven't read it, don't like skip past this bit. Skip past this bit. I mean, he is dating, or was dating before he became a monk, his brother's best friend. So basically, Sean and Aidan are brothers. Sean is dating Zenny, which is the sister. Aidan is dating Elijah, and Elijah and Zenny are brother and sister. Anyway, so you can see how all the books like tie into each other. But yeah, so he like runs off to become a monk, and he just kind of leaves Elijah. Like he didn't tell him where he was going. He just left one night, like whatever. Because he got a text from like this random number that I think I sent him like a Bible verse or something. Anyway, so then he becomes a monk, and then Elijah comes to visit him, and he's like, oh my god. And it's really funny because he's like wearing chastity and stuff, and he's like, oh my god, I can't cope, like whatever. They'd been broken up, I think, for 4 years, something like that. And then Elijah comes to tell him that he's getting married, and then Aidan's like, oh, okay, like thanks. And then I can't remember what happened then. Mind you, I didn't read this book this long ago. He ends up like I can't remember what his name is, but like the guy that's like in charge of like the monk place. He like arranges this trip for Aidan to go to Europe, I think for 3 weeks to try out different I don't know what they're called. Monastery? Is it a monastery? I think so. Like different monasteries to see which one he wants to go into, because he feels like the one he's in now isn't like enough for him. Like he wants something more from it. So he's looking at like all these other ones. And then basically Elijah is now like he's not a reporter. He's what's it called? A journalist. He's a journalist for this like magazine. So he ends up asking the guy that's in charge if he can go with Aidan, because he wants to like report on it, because he came to the monastery to report on that for the magazine. And the guy that's in charge, I don't think he realized that those two used to like date or whatever. He knew that Aidan was gay, but I don't think he realized, like, he didn't put two and two together. So he ended up like buddying him up, and then like being like, oh, like walk him around, la 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 la. Obviously stuff happened, you know, he ends up breaking up with Jamie. Aidan's like, oh shit, like my bad, sorry. And he's like, no, it's not you, blah blah blah, whatever. Anyway, and then stuff happens with them too. And then they end up going to Europe because the guy in charge invited him and was like, oh, it'd be good coverage, you know, Anyway, a lot of stuff goes down on that Europe trip. And then when they get back, Jamie comes to see Aidan at the monastery, and Aidan's like, oh, here we go, like, what have I done now? Because obviously they'd broken up. And then he basically just explained that he'd broken up, they'd broken up and he knew, and blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, all right, no hard feelings, like whatever. So yeah, and then basically they do end up being together because he leaves the monastery the same way sort of Tyler left the church. Oh, also, that's what I was going to say. In Sinners, Zenny left the nun life. I don't know the correct term. She left being she gave up being a nun to be with Sean. And now they have like a bunch of kids, which I think that's really cute, and they got married. But yeah, so she gave up being a nun for that. Tyler gave up being a priest for Poppy, and then Aidan gave up being a monk for Elijah, and then they ended up being together. So it's kind of like the same storyline in each one, but a bit different. And obviously the first two are about heterosexual people, and the second one is about homosexual people, which obviously is fine. I didn't, now hear me out because it's going to sound awful, but I didn't like the last one as much as I did the first one. But no, it's nothing to do with the fact that it was a gay couple. It was just the way the story kept like bouncing back and forth. Like I don't know. It was like all, even though it was following a story, it just seemed to be like too like all over the place. Whereas like the other two, they were like more like smooth, like, oh yeah, they're sailing, oh, they've had the nugget, they're not speaking, blah blah blah. Like, do you know what I mean? And then with Aidan's story, it was just like kind of like bouncing like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But like the same sort of like thing. Whereas like, for example, in Sinners, the one I love the most with Sean. So you've got Zenny, and Zenny wants to be a nun, and then she's doing all this training and da 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 da. Sean is, you know, trying to become like top dog in the firm. And then their mum, her cancer like comes back really bad, and sadly she does end up passing away. But like that's another part of the story. Then he's got this rivalry with this guy from work. He ends up arguing with his boss. Like there's all like different kinds of things. Whereas with Aidan, it's just Aidan, Elijah, Aidan, Elijah, Aidan, Elijah, a little bit Jamie, and then they got on this trip, and then it just didn't. I don't know. Don't come for me. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I read it in about, I think that one took me about 3 days because I was interested, but I wasn't like that interested. But yeah, I'd give that one like a 7 because it wasn't that good. Overall, I'd rate the whole series like probably an 8, average, maybe an 8.5. It was good, but like Aidan's story did let it down a little bit. It would be a 9 if they were all sort of like on the same level. But yeah, that is my opinion on the Priest trilogy. I kind of do hope they make one about Ryan, because that would be quite interesting, because he's not really been mentioned much. And he's a lot younger, so he's in like what the Americans call college, so like he's in uni at the moment, so that I feel like that would make a great story. But obviously we'll just have to see if Sierra decides to bring out another book, or if she's just going to leave it as the trilogy. Yeah, I'm still looking to get the paperbacks, but I'm on a book buying ban currently, so I need to make sure I read everything first, because I got a lot of books. If you saw my first episode, then you'll know I had a massive book haul from Vinted. Since then, I have also had another 6 or 7 books. Hey, 6, 7. Oh my god, no, please cut that out. That was horrific. 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. I'm not keeping that in there. Anyway, yeah, I had a few more books, and then yeah, so I need to read all of them, plus the books I already had that I need to read. We're looking at like 30 to 40 books here. Like my plan for the year is to read not 5, what the hell, to read 50. I'm currently on I've read 3. I'm currently on my 4th one. I'm about 4 chapters in. I'm gonna jump onto that now once I've finished this episode. This is what I'm currently reading, is Tempting Little Thief, and then I've got The Bad Little Bride to go with it as well. So I'm hoping that I can finish this by next week, and hopefully the other book, because I want to speak about this, because I'm really, really enjoying this. I really want to do an episode on this, but if it's not next week, it will be the week after, because it depends on how much I get read from that one, because the second book is a lot smaller than that one. But yeah, if I don't manage to get that one done, the next episode is either going to be on what's it called, Phantasma and Enchantra, because I've almost finished Enchantra as well, so it's going to be on that series, or I might just post like a general like yap video, essentially. Just sort of depends how I'm feeling, but I definitely want to talk about Phantasma, because I really enjoyed that. Like, that was so good. I read it in like one day. Yeah, I'll tell you more about that, but I literally read it in one day. It was so good. But yeah, this was my episode on the Priest series. I hope you girlies enjoyed, and take care. I'll see you in the next one.